So we found this crested eagle a few days ago in the compound where I live. And a bit of a strange story. I was walking the dog ran off after some wildlife in the forest, and I found this bird just sort of bounced out into the path ahead of me. I thought, oh, that's strange, and followed it into the undergrowth and thought, this is really strange, it wasn't flying. So anyway, I reclaimed the dog, and I thought I'll come back a little later that afternoon just to see if it was still there. And we found it just off the path. So I thought, okay, I'll see if I can get this bird and see if we can do something about it, because obviously something was clearly wrong with it. Now, I had a look at its wings, and I couldn't absolutely identify what was wrong with it. I have no experience in this. But we have where I work is a big school, and one of our board members is works for set up an organisation for a Rocha, and so he knows a lot about wildlife. So he sent me a message saying, look this Simon guy up, and so Simon and myself started WhatsApping a couple of days ago, and actually yesterday I believe it was, and today was the day where we could bring this critter here, and Simon's just confirmed that it has a broken wing, and he's bandaging it up even as I speak, and it sounds very hopeful that this beautiful creature will return to the air soon.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he likes doing his So that calms them down, does it?
Yeah, I mean literally clinically does. I mean you got them heart rate going down. There's no point. This is just sort of to figure out what we're going to do later. I'll look at it later this afternoon. I think the chances of it recovering are very good. I think actually the smaller of the two bones, we've got radius and ulnar. So the radius I think is broken, but the ulnar is supporting it, which is great because that acts as a sort of a splint. It probably doesn't actually need surgery either.
Oh, brilliant. The good news is now I'm able to go and collect the bird. I'm able to help it. It had a broken wing, and this particular guy is amazing. He has strapped it up and looked after it for about a month, and is very keen that it's released in the area that it was found, understandably. And so I'm going to collect the bird right now, and then a little later on we're going to release it into the wild, or at least release it back to where it was used, it grew up or lived, so to speak. So let's drive into the bush and see what I can find.
Oi.
Hi Bob Merlin. I'm taking you back, man. You look a lot happier than last time though. So just remind everyone what was wrong with his wing. Is it?
He actually had the ulnar, the larger of the bone, in his arm broken, and but the radius held it. So the radius acted as a splint. So he's got quite a lot of sort of bony bone growth around it. But it's as solid as it's ever going to be, and the muscles and the tendons are sliding over it. He's got full function of the wing, so he should be fine.
So hopefully when we let him go back up country, he will be happy and flying, not like the poor little fella that we found in the bush trying to get away from me. Right, you ready? Watch how this is gonna... In the short time I got to know Simon over the rescue of the crested eagle that we found, I discovered a man who was absolutely passionate about the conservation and protection, the breeding and the rescuing of these magnificent birds of prey. In his self-built bird hospital in the middle of the Soy Sambu Conservancy, you find birds of prey either being nursed back to health, ready to be retrained and released into the wild, or where a bird's injury prevents them from being released into the world, he keeps them. He looks after them in the hope that he can breed and release young back into the wild. One of the things he shared that he had seen an increase of was birds being electrocuted by the many new concrete electrical poles being put up around Kenya.
Concrete poles got about 20 reinforcing rods made of steel that go right from the earth straight up to the surface. Sometimes they're actually physically exposed. Often there's a piece of cement cap on the top that gets ferrous after the first rain. So it's like a hot pad. And so that's an absolute negative, sometimes within a shorter distance as 10 centimetres from a positive.
So then it arcs when anything like a bird lands on it or something? Yeah.
And this actually acts like a 5-amp fuse.
Yeah.
And the wing. The wing is obviously, thin. This has got hardly any vessels in it. When you do see electrocution, sometimes you see it running up the vein. And that's because of all the iron in the blood. And it will obviously, transmit the power much more than the other tissues around it. So you see that literally blows like a fuse.
Yeah.
So when that blows like a fuse, it's like a 5-amp fuse, the bird won't die because the 5-amp fuse went before the 30-amp fuse, which is the main body went.
Yeah.
So that means that you've got obviously a leg that actually can work. Is creepy to see that the leg can work fine for up to 2 weeks, then it starts to dry and get atrophied, go black and fall off. Same happened with this thing's wing. There's actually a stump coming out here, and you can put a balancing prosthesis on here. And you go, oh, well, that's so bad. It just showed you the auger buzzards who are breeding, who've been electrocuted, and they're breeding. So we've still got a very viable bird. This thing's already been used to be as a foster parent for other auger buzzards. It has a useful life. It also is an ambassador for everybody, just so that they get a personal experience to see just how bad electrocution is.
As Kenya develops, another part of its ecosystem struggles. Maybe a challenge to all of us to think about the electrical lines that we put into our homes and how perhaps we can retrofit our houses to prevent these creatures from being hurt in the future. It was a real privilege to meet Simon, and I'm truly grateful for the rescue he performed on our crested eagle. I want to thank also Mufasa Mike, who I've linked some of his videos at the end of this, who spends a lot of time with Simon, but also lent me some of this footage. It's worth checking out his adventures and seeing Simon do some more great work with these beautiful birds of prey in Kenya. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next video.